type of structure? Stressed skin.
I remember that one.
No, you don't, Joe.
Vortex generators are mounted on the top surface of the wing and pull high energy air down into the boundary layer.
I think it's vortex generators.
Aspect ratio is the relationship between the width and length of a wing. True or false? That is true. What are control devices that destroy lift? Spoilers. The three primary flight controls of an airplane are ailerons, rudder, and elevator.
3-pointer.
A type of wing that uses no external bracing is called a cantilever wing. What are attached to spars and give the wing its aerodynamic shape? Ribs. What type of drag is reduced when the gear is retracted in retractable gear aircraft? Parasitic. An all movable horizontal tail surface is known as what? Stabilator. The FAA standard wood for aircraft construction is called what? Sitka spruce. A wing stalls when what happens? The critical angle of attack is exceeded. On a large aircraft with 2 sets of ailerons on each wing, which ailerons are operated during high-speed flight? Inboard. What improves performance by reducing drag and diffusing wingtip vortices? Winglets. What is an extension of the vertical stabilizer and is used to counteract forces ahead of the vertical axis? The dorsal fin. Today, almost all piston-powered airplanes enclose the engine in what type of cowling? NACA. NACA. The imaginary straight line that runs from the leading edge to the trailing edge of a wing is called the chord line. Elevator cables attach to what at the rear of the fuselage on many aircraft? This provides pivoting motion to the elevator. The bell crank. Match the correct axis with its definition. Oh goodness. All right, here we go. Lateral axis, straight line parallel to the wingspan, the pitch axis. Longitudinal axis is the straight line from nose to tail, the roll axis. Vertical axis, the straight line from top to bottom, the yaw axis. What in the wings is the primary control of lateral or roll stability? Ailerons. During a turn in an aircraft, the rudder corrects for what? Adverse yaw. According to FAR 23677, cockpit adjustable directional and lateral neutral trim position indication must be visible to the pilot. That is true. What type of tab is mostly found used with horizontal tail surfaces that do not have a fixed stabilator in front of them? Regarding. I guess that's the answer. Regarding. Okay, interesting. An elevator downspring is used to provide a mechanical force on the elevator as a safety factor when the airplane is flown with its center of gravity near what limits? Rearward. Some aircraft have stall strips installed on the leading edge near the root of the wing to cause it to stall first in order to keep the ailerons effective. Anti-servo tabs move in which direction compared to the direction of the control surface? Same. longitudinal or pitch stability is controlled by what? A horizontal stabilizer. A servo tab moves in which direction as the control surface to which it is attached? Opposite. A leading edge flap increases what of the wing? Camber and drag. Moving the leading edge of an adjustable stabilizer up trims the airplane nose which way? Down. Question 30. Founded flaps change the camber of a wing and increase the wing area. What can be used to reduce wingtip vortices? Winglets. What type of stability is most desired for most aircraft? Positive. What is a cantilever wing? It has no external wires and a minimum of external struts, usually of a fixed length. Does a wing with wash-in have a lower or higher angle of incidence at the tip? Higher. Wing angle of incidence is what? The angle between the chord line of the wing and the longitudinal axis of the airplane. Non-flexible cable is what size? 1 by 19. What is used to determine the travel limits of a flight control? Type certificate data sheet. Par-Al ketone is used for what? To protect the cables from moisture and corrosion. How do you inspect cables that run over pulleys? Operate the system and move the cable from under the pulley to better inspect it. What is used to prevent cables from rubbing on aircraft structure? Fair leads. What is used to minimize cabin pressure loss at points where a cable passes from pressurized to unpressurized areas of the aircraft? Pressure seals. What is the term used for when the flight control reaches its stop before the actuating control reaches its stop? Spring back. What are used to change direction of a cable as it is routed through an aircraft? Pulleys. Pulleys should be equipped with guards to do what? Prevent the cable from coming out of the pulley. When safety wiring a turnbuckle, what is the number of turns required on the terminating ends of the wire? At least 4. Where would you find the procedures for setting the required control surface deflections? Maintenance manual. How can a mechanic tell if the adjustable rod end is screwed far enough over the threaded rod end on a push-pull rod? By putting safety wire into a check hole. The numbers used in cable designations are what? The number of strands followed by the number of wires. Aircraft cables should be carefully inspected for what 2 defects? Wear and corrosion. What is the device used to check the tension of an aircraft control cable? Tensiometer. What is referred to as the difference in the angle of incidence between the wings of a biplane? Decollage. The torque of the main rotor is compensated on a single rotor helicopter by the use of what? The anti-torque rotor. Most helicopters use what type of airfoil sections? Symmetrical. What are the 3 gyroscopic forces that act on a spinning rotor of a helicopter? Precession, Coriolis effect, and rigidity in space, also known as ABC. What gyroscopic effect causes the rotor to tilt 90 degrees after the point where control is applied? Precession. Changing the angle of attack of the blades and varying engine power can vary main rotor thrust required for hovering. What conservation of angular momentum effect causes a rotor blade to attempt to speed up as it flaps up and moves its center of mass closer to the rotor shaft? Coriolis effect. On a single blade helicopter, what kind causes the helicopter to drift in a hover? Tail rotor. Ground effect is normally considered to extend upward from the surface about what portion of a rotor span? Less than 1 diameter. A helicopter rotor normally stalls on the retreating blade. Maximum rotor RPM is set to prevent structural damage from which force? Centrifugal force. The pitch of the tail rotor is controlled by anti-torque pedals operated by the pilot. Helicopters powered by a reciprocating or direct shaft turbine engine must use some form of clutch to disengage the engine from the transmission during starting and power failures. The cyclic pitch control causes the pitch of all the blades to change the same amount at the same time. It is false. Mechanical linkage between the collective pitch lever and the throttle is called a correlator. Last question. During powered flight, the airflow through the main rotor is downward. That's it.